Hi, I'm Megan.
I'm Selena.
Welcome to One Hen, Two Ducks,
A grown-up theater kids podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to another one of our Art Unmasked segments. We have not one, but two very special guests with us today, Patrick Wetzel and Aaron Kaburick. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm very excited to chat with you because we have a mutual friend. Actually, our first Art Unmasked guest was my dear friend, Bruce Wynant. And I think he's neighbors with you guys, right?
He is.
Yeah.
He's our direct neighbor. Yeah, he lives the house right next door. We can borrow a cup of sugar anytime.
Oh,
And so what a great house too on that lake. I've had many a 4th of July there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce's famous 4th of July parties. Yes, indeed.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you both on. Will you please tell us and our audience a little bit more about you and who you are and what you do?
Yes. Yeah,
Do you
go
wanna
for it.
Okay, I'll go. So I'm Aaron, and we are married, by the way.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
You're
We'll
welcome.
tell you where we're registered. I am a Broadway performer. I am on hiatus, I guess we shall say, from Mrs. Doubtfire the Musical.
Great.
And yeah, that's my very brief, like right now sort of thing. I'm originally from the Midwest, from a tiny little town called Carlinville, Illinois, and have been a New Yorker for the past 20 years or so. And
Nice.
feel very fortunate to have been able to work on Broadway for a nice chunk of that time. Very fortunate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
for sure.
And
You say yeah, like I'm lucky. Like,
yeah, you are lucky.
You are lucky.
You are lucky.
I don't know how
no.
you did that, actually. Oh, who'd
You
fool?
fooled a lot of people for 20
Yeah.
years.
No, he's more than just lucky. He's also incredibly talented and a really funny actor and a fantastic musical theater performer. So I'm the one who's lucky.
Awesome.
Oh.
Nice.
And I'm Patrick Wetzel, and I am an actor and a stage manager and an associate director, and I
Nice.
wear lots of hats. I've
Yes.
worn a lot of hats over the years. I moved to New York in '89 and started doing shows here and performed on Broadway for many of those years, and was able to meet Aaron on the tour of Billy Elliot, where we were both performing. We met there, and I was an actor at that time. Then, and that makes it sound like you sent me out of the business, which is
I
not
did.
really.
I did.
Like I started after Aaron and I met. I had already been thinking about stage management and other wearing other types of hats in the business. So in 2013, I started stage managing a little, and then also working as an associate director on a few projects. And so I do a lot of different things. I am an actor, but I also am a stage manager and a director.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's
You're
awesome.
theatrical.
You're theatrical. You're creative. You're an artist. Both of you.
Yeah.
That was so funny because that was kind of running through my mind of like, I guess that's how they met. And I was just going to ask that question, but you answered it for me already.
Yeah, I had been doing Billy Elliot in New York, and I had done it since the very beginning here in New York, and I just wanted a change of pace, and a handful of us said, let's go out on the tour. And little did I know that I would, meet my spouse on that
Nice.
tour.
It's
And we
funny
didn't
'cause-
know, even when we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny
took
because
a while.
we're actually going to be doing, I think, a future episode about kind of finding love in the business and how it works and versus how it doesn't. And I'm sure it has its own kind of gamut of challenges, with like touring and stationary couples and things like that. So it's awesome that you have found a way to clearly make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we the funny thing is we were friends on the year that we were on tour together. We had become good friends, and we didn't consider dating until the tour ended and we got back to New York, and Aaron was the one who said, I'm trying to figure out why I'm so down and so blue. And that particular show closed a little abruptly, and we were both feeling kind of down about it. And one day Aaron said, I've been trying to figure this out, and I think I'm so down because I don't see you every day. Oh. And all of a sudden it was just, a light bulb, and I thought, it's you. It's of course
you.
Yeah. That's so sweet.
I actually like you.
Yeah. And everyone on the tour was like, well, finally. And we were like, well, we didn't know.
You could have told us.
Yeah. Could have saved us feeling sad for a bit.
That start with best friendships, and I think that's how it maybe should be. I mean, not to say,
Yeah. I mean,
being knocked up is great too, and falling in love with your baby daddy is good too. But I'm just saying.
Not an option for us, so we went the best friend route.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so you guys are very creative individuals, actors, directors, stage managers, what have you. Obviously, this the pandemic hit New York and hit this industry pretty intensely. And what was kind of going through your mind when it first kind of happened? Were you kind of glad for the break, and then kind of getting a little bit more like, okay, well, what do we do now, kind of thing?
I mean, I think I think like a lot of people, and probably you guys as well, I think when it first hit, the first thing on my mind was, okay, Broadway's closed for 4 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks in rehearsals, and they'll take advantage of this shutdown, and we'll rehearse during the shutdown.
Oh, and Doubtfire, weren't you guys like in previews or?
Yeah, we
right.
were 3
So you guys hadn't even had your opening night yet.
No, and we were like literally the day that Broadway shut down, we were making major changes in the show. Like I vividly remember sitting in the men's ensemble dressing room, all the women had come in as well, with sort of that somber mood that we all knew we were shutting down. And we could hear Jen Gambatese, who was playing the Sally Field role, on stage doing her number over and over and over. I think because they were just sort of buying time until we had like our company meeting at 4. But I really thought it was just going to be a couple of weeks. But on the flip side, we had been apart for a large chunk of time. Doubtfire had gone out of town to Seattle, and Patrick was working in LA for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And so we had been apart. We had seen each other every now and then for like a day, 2 days, where we'd fly to one of the cities or the other. So there was also the part of me that was sort of like, oh, this will be nice. We get to like hole up together. And that, I mean, not that feeling went away, but the excitement of all of it sort of went away pretty quickly, as we all realized the gravity of the situation.
Yeah. I was working at Frozen at the time because I came back from LA and immediately started working as a stage manager at Frozen. Nice. And so I was only there a few days, and then the shutdown happened. And just like Aaron said, just to reiterate that, we thought, oh, it'll be a couple of weeks, and how great for us. We get to spend a couple of weeks just, being together. And we even naively at the first couple of days, we even thought, well, we can travel somewhere. We'll go visit,
I think about that a lot. Like literally we were like figuring out because we have a car, we're like, we'll drive to visit this person. We'll drive there. Like, wow. Like looking back, you're like, of course, like that's ridiculous. We barely.
I think the gravity kind of hit everybody, all at once. I mean, I saw it coming a little bit more. I was working with Chinese kids in this company that I was working for, teaching them English. And so, they had gotten it first and it was going through and but in my mind, I was like, oh, that's their problem. It's not going to come over here. We were sending them little like notes like, oh, be strong. You guys got this. Come through. And then it came over here and I was like, where's my note? We're not getting any notes.
I need a note.
I need a note from a kid to say be strong. But yeah, and I think all of us didn't have the gravity of what it would do like throughout, like how it would literally, and I didn't even think that it would shut down Broadway. I didn't even think it would shut down theater like it did. And I was like, what are we going to do?
And certainly not for this long too.
This long.
That was the unexpected kind of.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I remember us discussing like, okay, like my birthday's in June. So I remember us thinking like, all right, so maybe we'll be back by my birthday. Like, or then it was like maybe 4th of July. That seems celebratory.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be back until Labor Day. Like, how naive at that time that I was like distraught that we wouldn't be back until Labor Day. Cut to a year later. It's
cut to the next Labor Day. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys have any like big plans coming up to? I mean, like you had your shows. You did Mrs. Doubtfire. Did you guys have anything else that you were looking forward to that year?
Well, that was the next big thing was the Doubtfire opening. I worked on a movie for about 5 months, so I was gone, and we were kind of apart. So we were really just looking forward to, that was our next big event, was the Doubtfire opening.
Wait, why was I? Now I can't even remember why I needed time off from Doubtfire.
Oh, if our family, our family, we were going to the
reunion.
Yeah. Your family in Missouri.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's what it was. We were finally.
How kind of like it, because you talked about that waiting and going, okay, maybe this, and how hard it is to like see those days keep slipping. I know Megan had a wedding that she was planning. I was going to go to England for the very first time to see my father that I hadn't seen for 30 years. So all these things like were happening, and then like that hope that kept slipping through our fingers. Oh my goodness. So what have you done? What have you done in the meantime to keep creative? Like, what have you tried to do to keep
Bruce has kind of said a little something. He gave us a little preview, but he didn't tell us a lot about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, at first we said yes to every benefit, every Zoom,
workshop,
fundraiser. We said yes to everything because we were just like, just something, to keep going. And then there was that lull period where I was writing as much as I could, just creatively. Aaron Aaron's a really good with a needle and thread, so he was creating like a bunch of things, mostly masks for us. But so we were both keeping busy in that way.
A lot of yard work. We did do a lot of yard work.
Oh yeah, we got our house in like great shape. But then we were like, okay, we've reorganized every closet
twice.
And then
that is some productive time. I sat around watching like reality TV all day on Bravo. So at least you guys.
Oh, we did that too.
Oh yeah, no, that was please. We kept a list.
We still have the Excel spreadsheet of everything we watched, because you know how it is. People are like, what have you watched? And we would be like, I can't remember. So now we have a spreadsheet. We can just be like, we can tell you to watch this, and this.
Is incredible. And then you have a great, thing to reference whenever someone's like, what should I do next? You're like, well, if you want to go real trashy, you go here.
We should
Below deck.
Oh, totally.
Like we should, because we can easily rank it of like what we loved and what we hated. But anyway,
so after
please make that video, because I would love to watch it.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna work on it.
Yeah.
After we reorganized several times, closets over and over and over again, we finally, and then in August, maybe it was in August, a friend of ours who had been working with a virtual touring company reached out to us and said, look, this company that's based in London, they do tours, they're starting to do tours all over the world, and they don't have a New York guide.
They're brand new.
A brand new startup company. And basically, they were looking for someone to walk around New York City, different areas, and just show people that could log on to this app around different places in New York, like Times Square or Central Park or the Village, different things. So we looked at the site and we thought, well, we think we could do this. This seems interesting.
We watched a tour of London.
Yep.
Yeah, and we thought, you know what? And we also, she called and she said, I don't know if either one of you were interested in this. And we kind of thought, you know what? We think we'd like to do this together. Like, it seems like it would be more fun just doing it together. And I think also part of it was we were together and we both needed something to do. So it was like, great, we can both work on this, to be honest.
The novelty of both of us doing it at the time was because the company at that point had only had people doing it alone,
Yeah,
doing the virtual
yeah.
tours alone. So we thought that was a good way in for us. So we had a meeting with the company and a video conference meeting, and just sort of like pitched to them the idea of us doing it together, because that was new for them. And yeah, so then we started with like Times Square, and that,
we were terrible.
yeah, we were terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, first of all, our very first tour, it was a Saturday.
Yeah.
And we were not Beyonce. Who was it that broke the internet? Cardi B. Wasn't it Cardi B?
Yes.
Yeah, we were Cardi B. We were the Cardi B of the virtual tour world. We broke the internet. So we literally like logged on for our tour. You have to log on 10 minutes in advance and say hello to your travelers who are live all over, but they're it's sort of like an Instagram live in a way. So they're live via chat. They can see us and we see the chat. And,
Okay.
But it crashed. Like we because it was still early for this company.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. It didn't crash because of our popularity. It just crashed because it was a new system and a new
Here
app.
I was thinking everyone.
I know,
gotta get
I
on
was
that
like-
thing.
I was like,
Where is this?
they're
Let me
probably
go.
funny.
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't crash it because of the popularity. We did have a lot of family and friends on,
Yeah.
but so we rescheduled it for the next day, and we did it. All the tours are basically 30 to 45 minutes, and at the time when we did our first one, it was New York, L.A., Copenhagen, Paris, Venice.
And Venice, yeah.
Yeah,
Venice.
and now this company, I mean, they now have guides in probably 200 different cities around the world. I mean, it's outrageous. In the beginning, we did a tour every other week. So we did our Times Square tour. Then did we repeat it, or did we do a new one right away?
No, I think we repeated that tour
Okay.
2 weeks later.
So yeah.
And then we started adding other tours. We added Central Park, I think was the next thing we
so.
added. And then maybe Greenwich Village. So it's grown into this really, what started out as just a project that was something for us to focus on. Any project at that point, that had been that had been 6 months or around 6 months at that point.
When we started?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been like 6 months into the pandemic.
Wow.
Since
roughly.
Broadway had shut down. And so we started out with just doing one tour every other week. And we sort of thought, oh, this will be fun to just as a hobby.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it exploded. And now
I
we
mean,
do, yeah.
It sounds
That's so
so
cool.
cool.
It
How
really
yeah.
is.
It really
I
kind of
want to go because someone who, especially us West Coasters over here, who I've never been to New York, not a single time.
Oh,
Have I
wow.
ever been-
join us.
So I know.
We now do, I'm not kidding you, we now do about 20 different tours of New York City at this point.
Oh, amazing.
So
I
we
need
went
to
from
see-
doing a tour every other week to now we do anywhere from 5 to 10 tours in 1 week. It's
Wow.
crazy. It really kind of exploded. I think I would give credit to Christmas, to the birth of Jesus Christ. So around Christmas time, the company reached out to us. Well, first it was these two young men, and they added on two terrific women. Justine and Gina came on board, like, I can't remember. I'm going to say mid-fall. So one of them reached out to us and said, hey, what if you tried a Christmas tour? Like, we think that might be interesting for the viewers. So we put up Rockefeller Center. And we ended up doing 8 tours of
my goodness.
Rockefeller Center. We would start at Rockefeller Center. We'd start in front of Radio City, walk through Rockefeller Center, and then go down to Bryant Park and show the markets in Bryant Park.
Oh, nice.
And then we also did Diker Heights. If you know Diker Heights, it's a Brooklyn neighborhood that puts up all these
Wow.
over-the-top Christmas decorations.
Yes.
And we said, okay, we'll do one night of that. And it was the highest rated, we had the most viewers that the website had ever had. So we were like, okay,
Whoa.
we'll do it again next week then.
And you guys still
Yeah.
do this today?
Do we still do it today?
Do you still do the tours?
We did Central Park about 2 hours ago.
Oh
okay,
my
so
goodness.
here's the link, people. Here's the link.
Yeah.
Yes, heygo.com.
I'm gonna go.
Yes.
Y'all should go too.
Join us. Heygo, HEYGO.com. Heygo.com is the website. Yeah, we are still doing anywhere from 5 to 10 tours a week, and we now add a new tour every single week.
Oh my
Now,
gosh, that's
is
so
it
cool.
with the because you're doing them together? So
Yeah.
is that maybe kind of bringing more people in? Are you like how do you do it together? Like are you guys kind of talking to each other and like reminiscing about certain places while also kind of giving info about the and like so they're getting to know you and maybe they're kind of the audience is getting more connected to you?
It's a little bit of both of those things.
Yeah.
Basically, we decide where we want to go. Let's just say we want to start a tour in Greenwich Village. We'll do some research and history about Greenwich Village, and we get all of that down on paper. And then we have a gimbal that we use to steady the camera. We just use our phone. We just log in with it's an application on our phone.
That
And
is
we
awesome.
put our phone on a gimbal. We walk around the village, and Aaron uses notes to kind of keep things going and sort of as a reference to all of the research that's been done, and I'll run the camera. And at first, we said that we were terrible at first, and one of the things that we learned very quickly was that people got confused when we both started talking, because we would both get excited and jump in and start talking about history.
Right.
And they got confused. First of all, they didn't know which one of us was talking at the time. And then they also, like the overlapping of talking, I think kind of confused them. So
Right.
we finally realized, okay, one of us needs to take the lead on like giving out the information and the other one needs to use the camera because it's difficult to do them both at the same time. And
We
so
also, around the same time, discovered too that so much of what we were doing was not just about the information, but about the pictures that people were
Yeah.
seeing as well.
Right.
So, and we learned a lot of this, honestly, by watching some of the other guides, because they would sometimes focus on what they were talking about, and the camera would just sort of be anywhere, or it would be a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like static shot, not static. It would,
Yeah.
just wouldn't move.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if one of us could focus on what we were talking about and one of us could focus on the picture, then we could always make sure that the viewer was interested visually and
with
like
information.
information wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
so
is
cool.
so cool.
I'm totally
It
down
is.
on one.
It really is cool. And, we had no idea that when we started it, we actually end up seeing a lot of the same viewers because so much of it for us is really just about we're giving them information, but we're also sometimes just having a conversation between us. So because of that, on the tour, the people feel like they're with us and that they're
Yeah.
part of a bigger conversation. Because we'll say and just simple things like, oh, should we go show them that ice cream store? Yeah, let's go there.
Yes,
And-
let's go.
Exactly. So it feels to them like they're part of the conversation and they're just hanging out with a couple of friends. So what we didn't realize, we end up seeing a lot of the same people on our tours. They come back, a lot of them, and it took us a few months to realize this. But because we see so many of the same people, we realize we've been connecting with people from all over the world at this crazy time where we have been asked to not connect with people and to
Right.
stay apart and stay safe. Then this Hago.com platform became available, and all of a sudden we're able to connect with hundreds of people at the same time in the same virtual room, and we kind of love it.
Yeah.
It's been a godsend, and
Awesome.
not only because of that, we're meeting a lot of new people around the world, but also it gave us a project at a time when we were just needing to be creative, and we look at these tours in a creative way because we try to create an arc of a tour and a story depending on what part of town we're in, and we after it's over, like it'll be the 30 or 45 minutes, we immediately start talking about it, and it's sort of like a show. We'll be like, oh, it was slow at this part. They got bored in this section.
Yeah, they liked this part, so we should definitely, show
Yeah.
more of that, or we really do think of it like a show.
So as an afterthought, we realize, oh, this is sort of similar to we're getting our fix of like performing, and it became like a show. We would not give each other notes, but we just talk about it like a show and how we could improve it, and so that part's
Yeah.
been, it was an afterthought, but it's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you put creatives in every aspect of anything, because we'll make it more fun, but
We do.
Well,
we make it
It's just
better.
what we do.
It's so funny you say that because we do have. I mean, there's now the website really has exploded, and so now they have a Facebook group for all of these. They're called the Voyagers, the Hago Voyagers, and there's reviews that people can leave for us, and we've noticed this overall theme about people sort of connecting to the two of us as guides, and I think in large part it is because we kind of come from it. I don't want to say from the entertainment world. But because it's not like we are necessarily there to entertain people. Like we quickly figured out, no, we have to. We're not here to entertain like we normally would be on Broadway. We are here to educate and to enlighten people about our city. But because we approach it from as entertainers, I think it does end up being quite fun for them at the same time.
Well, our industry, especially theater, is all about that connection and that relating to from the stage to the audience. And so I think we just naturally, and you guys naturally bring that for your viewers. It's just something that's been ingrained in you guys that you can't help but to connect, and you can't help but to create those connections from people you don't even know, because it's just what you do.
Yeah.
And Patrick, you said something that I feel like was also an interesting point, where here we are in this time where we cannot connect, and we're supposed to be distant. And there's probably, I mean, I think everybody at some point in some way dealt with a little bit of loneliness this year. And I can only imagine then when you kind of find some way to connect with people or feel part of something, that it makes it all that more special. And then also the fact that you guys are in New York City, kind of showing New York City off at the height of when everyone's talking about New York City's dead, and here you are kind of showing that it's very much still alive and important. And I just like, it's really awesome and lovely.
Yeah, I mean, it snuck up on us. The idea that we were accomplishing what was presented to us was stay apart and stay away from people. And that was the solution to get past this huge pandemic problem. And we found a way to connect with people. Yeah. I mean, it was, with the help, it was sort of, I don't know, divine intervention of, someone taking care of us and getting us to be able to connect with all of these people from around the world. Not only connecting with not just, people that now some of them we consider friends, but, people from all around the world. Like, we connected in a huge way, which we'd never expected to happen. So it really is kind of a miracle in a way.
Like we do tours later into the evening, because then we get some Australians who tune in, and and people put in the chat, they'll say, "Oh, tuning in from Sri Lanka, tuning in from like
wow.
Sri Lanka."
I mean, it's pretty wild, and it's interesting you say that about the loneliness, because we get a lot of people who say like, I haven't left my home in a year, and being with you guys makes me feel like I'm getting out a little bit. And the other thing we have that's really terrific and we would have never, ever expected is we get families and or groups of friends who join our tours from all over the world. So like they'll be countries apart. And like specifically right now we have a family. It's 2 sisters and 2 aunts who come on, and they're all over. They're not together, but they join together on our tours.
So we can go together, Megan.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
Arm in arm.
We can join our tours together. Yeah.
Exactly. And that part's been really great. There's a lot of the viewers, as you might imagine, this type of platform, there are a lot of older viewers. And a lot of them are home alone this whole time. And it for them, I can't tell you how many times they've reached out and said, this is getting me through this lonely time. Like you said, a lot of lonely people. And so for that reason, it feels good. Again, going back to that connection idea, it just feels good. We're not connecting with people. Not only that, we're also connecting people themselves, these families and people that are alone. It's been really helpful emotionally.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you guys think once things kind of start opening back up again and entertainment jobs are more of a thing, do you think you guys will continue on doing some tours, even if it's kind of at a scaled back? Or if you're in a different city, would you do those cities too?
Absolutely, to all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've said, I mean, even early on, we've quite early on, we both went, oh my gosh, I would completely do this like between shows on a Saturday.
Nice.
Because it's enjoyable. It's really quite fun. And I mean, yes, there's work involved. Like, we do a lot of research. It does, we have to have a specific signal to use the application. Mm-hmm. And you want the route to be between 30 and 45 minutes. So it takes us a little bit of time to figure out the route, figure out the signal. What are we going to talk about? What's interesting in this area? Then research all of that. But once we have all of that down, then it's really quite enjoyable and fun. And in terms of doing other cities, yes, we already have been to Philadelphia. Ooh. And I think we're going to do like my hometown and maybe near Patrick's hometown. And I think we'll do some other areas as well, because cool. Again, we've got a lot of folks who tune in to watch us as well, because they've connected to us. So I think they would, we've talked about like a Patrick and Aaron hit the road sort of series.
Yes. That would be awesome.
So, that would be fun.
Yeah, we'll keep
road
doing
trip.
It. Yeah, totally,
exactly.
Totally.
The road trip, they tell you all about what's going on in that city historically, and then they also tell you exactly what shows you should be watching next.
And they also tell you about the giant rubber ball that we just won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The giant
Anything
ball
you could
of
ever
twine
want to
in
know.
Minneapolis.
We went there.
Random places.
Not on a
we
tour
went,
yet,
we
but
went
will.
there.
We went there, guys.
Amazing. It's been really awesome to see, especially during this time, the way people have kind of created different ways to pivot their kind of artistic talents. And you guys are absolutely no exception, because it's so awesome and lovely to see. And I know it brings so much joy to people, and I'm excited. I can't wait to tune in now. What would you say to some artists and creatives who have been struggling trying to figure out how to pivot? What advice would you give them?
I can say something, because what's funny is I had thought of that before, and I thought, gosh, I don't know, because this fell into our lap.
Right.
So it wasn't like we had this idea of like, oh my goodness, like this is a great idea to use my creativity. That was not the case. But I think what I would say is we didn't say no to this idea right out of the gate. We just, which is something whenever I do talkbacks for young kids in theater, I always tell them to say yes to everything, because you just never know what's, say yes to working on the wardrobe crew, say yes to running the spotlight, just say yes to all of it.
Treat it like improv.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And I didn't realize till just now, but I think that's part of what it was. The opportunity came up, and it would have been very easy for us to say, no, I've never given tours before, or I don't do that. But instead we were like, yes, let's try this and we'll see. And it clicked. Yeah.
And also, I guess I would just say, keep the creative juices flowing, whatever that means to you. And I think creative people never stop creating. And even when Broadway was shut down and taken away from us all, we found ways to still be creative, even in our home. Aaron with creating the sewing and crafting and writing and whatever it is. I think people, or painting, if you paint, I think people have to be creative, and I think it just comes out. If one thing is taken away creatively, then you figure another way to be creative. So I guess similarly, just don't stifle anything.
The other thing I will also say though is I hate putting pressure on anybody to feel like they had to create something during this pandemic time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's okay when the dust settles. If you came out of this and you said, I made it, And that's your biggest achievement, is that you made it and your wits are still with you. That is beautiful and wonderful.
Oh, my wits are
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
my wits are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh no,
What happened?
I think we've all lost our minds a little bit, but
Yes. I also think we all dealt with so much in the past year, even beyond the pandemic. So if people said, I protested, I wrote letters, I campaigned, even I think that's beautiful and wonderful. I mean, we wrote a lot of letters, we protested, we did all of that. And,
nice.
and even if people didn't do that, if they said, I didn't have the energy to do that, it's okay. You made it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's okay too.
It took us a long time to figure out, what to do. There was I make it sound like, we were like, we hit the ground running and we just, created. The truth is, I think we both for a while just sat on the couch stunned.
Yeah.
Like once we realized it was going to be a really long time, we didn't know what to do. And we ate our feelings and we did a lot of that.
Yeah.
And, but yeah.
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
I definitely cried a lot. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us did. And at the weirdest times, you're like, why is that catching me off guard? That stupid
I was just
commercial.
putting sugar in my coffee and I'm sad.
Exactly. And we would
I used
see
to be able to
people.
put sugar in my coffee in front of people. No, I cannot.
Exactly. And we would see people on social media being like doing a million things. We were like, how are they doing that? Like, I feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so yeah, I mean, there was no right or wrong answer to get through it all. But we found creative grooves whenever we could, and then when this touring thing became available to us, we jumped at it, and it's been a godsend. It really has.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Patrick and Aaron, it has been so awesome to have you both here chatting with us on the podcast and getting your story and kind of your point of view out to hopefully a couple of our viewers. But I would like one more time if you could tell us and our audience just how we can find these tours and how we can support you.
Yes, so we are, the website is heygo.com, HEYGO.com. We also have an Instagram that we post our tours on, and that is NYC Tour Guys, GUYS, NYC Tour Guys. And we put fun pictures of New York on there as well, and things that we like, and just to kind of show off our beautiful city.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have 5 to 10 tours a week, so join us on a tour, get some stamps in your passport book.
That's right.
From
And
your
I'm happening in Reno. I can give you a tour of the street.
The tour of the street of Reno.
Do we have Reno on the schedule?
I don't know if Reno is. Vegas is.
Reno is
Vegas.
there's nothing in Reno.
This
You'd
is
be
where they
surprised.
filmed Sister Act.
This is where Reno tries to be like Las Vegas because they don't have their own identity.
They're just a tiny
Okay.
Vegas.
I'm just telling you, I bet our viewers would tune in a heartbeat. They would love it. Reno,
Well, I'm sure if
they'd
it's-
say yes.
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 Especially if it's you two. I'm sure you could make anything entertaining.
Oh my
Well,
God. We do try.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for chatting with us. It's just been such a joy this afternoon to kind of chat with you.
Yes, and say hi to Bruce for us.
Yes.
We will for sure.
Yeah.
What a pleasure. Thank you both.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.